Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Somebody suggested that I make a video about 2022 and tell you all the products that I thought were really good. You know, I review an awful lot of products on this channel and they're usually pretty cool products. And they said, Steve, why don't you make a video about everything you reviewed in 2022 that you thought was exceptional for us, the viewer? So that's what this video is about. Here I go. First item would be the Autel Evo Nano Plus. Now the Nano Plus came out, in late 2021 and you could buy it in 2022. So I had one of the first products. I thought it was exceptional. There was nothing else on the market like the Nano Plus. It blew DJI out of the water. So they sold a ton of these little drones. My greatest love with the Autel Evo Nano Plus is the camera. I find the camera to be exceptional for video. However, when it comes to photos, it's average. It's nothing to write to grandma about. It's average, but everything else is pretty darn good. Then Autel launched the Autel Evo Lite Plus. Now that is a really good drone. If you can get your hands on one of those, it's a really good drone. It has some neat features to it. The best feature is the video on it is exceptional and the photos are pretty much the best. Any camera in its range, it takes the best photos by far. Now let me say the following. Every DJI fanboy should kneel down by their bed every night and say a prayer to the Autel Evo Nano Plus gods, because if Autel never launched the Autel Evo Nano Plus, well, with all those great features and camera features and everything else, then DJI would have just given us an enhanced Mini 2 Pro. We never would have got the Mini 3 Pro with all the features. And by saying that, let me tell you this, the DJI Mini 3 Pro is my favorite mini drone on the market. That was a great launch. It's a great little unit. And if you can get your hands on one, you'll be very happy. Now, when it comes to drones that are over 250 grams that were priced really well for the consumer, the best one that was out there in the year 2022 was the FPV X8 SE 2022 version 2. That is a pretty awesome little drone. You get an awful lot for your money. And if you don't have a lot of money and you want all the features of the big drones in this little guy, well, then go and pick one up. Now, when it comes to FPV drones, I love FPV drones. Honestly, you cannot buy a crappy FPV drone. So many people ask me, hey Steve, this FPV drone or this FPV drone? If they're the exact same size, a 5-inch quad and another 5-inch quad, and they both have pretty much the same cameras, well, it doesn't matter. The difference is going to be the flight controller and just the positioning of the carbon fiber and the motors and the ESC and everything else. But it really doesn't matter because you cannot buy a bad FPV drone. As a matter of fact, look at my walls here. I have FPV drones everywhere. I fly them all. I love FPV drones and I can't really pick any out of all those and say, this is the best, this is the best. But now, if you're a beginner, I guess I could tell you the following. So for beginners getting into the FPV hobby, I can say that the Emax Easy Pilot Pro is a pretty decent little kit. You get everything in a box. It will get you into the FPV hobby in no time. All the items included are really good to get you started, but you're not going to keep those items when you become more pro in the hobby. You're going to change everything in the FPV hobby, but it's a great beginner kit. Beta FPV as well with their Beta FPV Cetus X. That's a really awesome beginner kit at an awesome price. You get everything that you need to get flying. You can fly it around the house, fly it outside. It does everything you need to do, freestyle, all the other good stuff. Once again, it's a good starter kit, but you're not going to keep any of the components when you get into the real FPV hobby. In other words, when you become a pro and you get the pro goggles, pro controller, radio, pro battery charger, batteries, and all the other stuff in the drone, you're going to switch it all up by then. I'm smiling now because someone's probably sitting there, well, tell me, Steve, what would I get if I was getting into the FPV hobby and I wanted a better drone? Well, the drone I recommended to an awful lot of people this year was the Beta FPV Pavo 25, and not one of those people were disappointed. It's a really good drone. It's got a digital camera on it and it flies immensely well, and it's perfect for beginners and even pros. It's such a smooth flyer, very durable. You can bang it off the walls. It's not going to break and it's not super expensive. And for all of you FPV pro pilots who are wondering if I had any FPV drones stick out in my head that I thought was just exceptional in the year 2022, the only one that sticks out wasn't really exceptional, but it sticks out because it's large, was the iFlight Chimera 7 HD Pro. That thing is a beautiful drone to fly. You can put a ton of weight on it, so I put some big cameras on it to do some filming. It's a really enjoyable drone to fly. I would not recommend that drone ever for beginners, although a lot of beginners want to buy it. You're just going to chop your head off. And for pros, yeah, you can buy it, but make sure you have a purpose for it. My purpose was basically to carry heavy items and fly around and chase other objects and film. So if you have a purpose similar to that, then it's probably a good drone for you. And let me just say it again, you cannot buy a bad FPV drone in the year 2022 or even 2023. And now with the DJI O3 system being fitted in all the old drones to make them new again, you know, drones like the GetRC Mark V are phenomenal. And you got the iFlight Nazgul Avok. They're amazing with the O3 system in them. So you just can't go wrong. Now, of course, I can't leave the FPV category without mentioning the DJI Avata. However, the DJI Avata is not an FPV drone, and it's not a camera drone. It's a mixture of both. So it's called a hybrid drone. I do love the Avata, and it's an excellent drone for beginners. However, for people who are professionals or pros, it's a bit scary because if you put it in manual mode, you've got an 80% chance that it's going to fall out of the sky and hit somebody or hit something. And it's happened to me, probably about 50 times now. DJI has not been able to fix it. Only occurs if you're in manual mode and you're going up and down and side to side, and hardly anybody flies like that in the FPV hobby unless you're chasing an RC plane. So whenever I chase RC planes and I'm doing this, it always falls out of the sky. So I don't really use it anymore to chase any RC planes. I will use it flying it in manual mode, quite relaxing like an FPV drone, but a relaxing FPV drone. So beware. Now let's jump over to the category of a drone and an RC plane stuck together. So in 2022, we had the OMP Hobby Zemo. That was an awesome plane. It's a drone and a plane, but it's more a plane than it is a drone. It's awesome. I still have it. I still fly it. I still love it. And they're coming out with the Zemo Pro. I think it's called the Pro, and I should have one here for review sometime in the year 2023. And just in case you're unaware, VTOL stands for vertical takeoff and land. So another one in that category would be the Swan K1 Pro that I reviewed in 2021, and then in 2022 they added a movable camera to the forward section and they called that the Swan Voyager, and I reviewed that in 2022, and they're making it better. So in 2023 it's going to get even better. That's another VTOL drone that is more a drone than it is a plane, because it's basically a drone that goes up and then those motors just pull it through the air. It's not really flying, because if those motors shut off, it falls to the ground like a rock. Whereas the Zemo is kind of more a plane. So if the motor shut off while you're flying forward, it's sort of gliding down. Well, not really gliding. It's gliding like a less heavy rock. It's still coming down fast. And now let's jump to the category of RC helicopters, and the very first one that I thought was pretty cool for the year 2022 was the FW200. That was a GPS helicopter, which we've had GPS helicopters before. GPS helicopters are designed for beginners because there's a GPS system in them, so they're going to stay stable in the air. They have altitude hold. You have next to no skills to fly it. It doesn't really matter. It flies really well. This one, though, had the ability, with the flick of a switch, to flip upside down, and it could fly upside down, which was pretty cool. And of course, it has a return to home, which is a nice feature. Now, the FW200 was designed for beginners, not really professional RC helicopter pilots. You could fly the FW200 in manual mode. However, I found it was very sluggish and a little bit squirrely in manual mode, so I think it's more designed for beginners. They did make the F09 Blackhawk helicopter, no GPS on that one, but it's very scale looking, and it had a stability system, 6-axis gyro, so that even a beginner could fly it. However, if it was windy out, it would blow away with the wind. So you had to have a little bit of skill to fly the Blackhawk helicopter. However, it didn't take a lot of practice to get it really well, and it's an awesome scale looking helicopter. And I'm sure they sold millions of that one until the Coast Guard came out, the F09S. Because the Coast Guard helicopter has optical flow in it and GPS and an FPV camera. It's got everything. It's a pretty awesome, highly detailed looking helicopter, and in the air, it just looks phenomenal. That helicopter is 100% designed for beginners because you can't really flick it into manual mode, at least not the one I was using. So you're always stuck in that very easy to fly mode. Now, for those who are pro RC helicopter pilots, you can't go wrong with the OMP Hobby M1 and M2 Evo helicopters. They are just phenomenal. And yeah, I reviewed them in the summer, and they are the greatest RC helicopters money can buy. Really good price, a lot of good features. You know, you never have to worry about having any issues with those. They fly so well for pros. Now let's jump over to the topic of RC planes, because in the year 2022, I taught myself how to fly RC planes, so let me tell you which ones I thought were the best that came out in 2022. Now, when I say the best, think about it. I'm a guy who just learned how to fly RC planes, and if I could fly these planes in 2022, you can fly them as well. That means they're pretty darn good, and I still have all of these planes today, so here we go. First one is the Habu SS 50mm. It's an EDF jet. It goes pretty darn quick. Well, for me as a beginner, it goes pretty darn quick, but it's so easy to fly and so lovely in the air. I took the landing gear off, and I just let it belly land on the ground, and I throw it with my hand now when I launch it. Next one is the E-flite Beechcraft D18. That came out in 2022. It's a twin-engine prop plane. It's massive in size. I love this plane. It looks gorgeous in the air, looks gorgeous on the ground, highly detailed, highly spec'd out. Awesome plane to fly, and yes, a beginner could easily fly this. There's a little plane called the E-flite UMX Timber X. That thing was just crazy to fly because I could close my eyes, go to sleep, and fly this thing and not have any problems because it flies so well. So as a beginner, I love this plane. Another plane that came out in 2022, but I never reviewed it, is this one. This is called the E-flite UMX Twin Otter. It's a gorgeous plane. It's a little thing, flies on a little 1S battery. I fly this thing daily. I love it. I'll make a review in 2023. I think the best all-around plane that I reviewed in 2022 would have been the FMS. FMS is the brand. It's called the PA-18 1300mm Super Cub. That thing is just insanely easy to fly, and it's so forgiving. Now, of course, if you like to go really fast and you want a plane that looks really sharp and you don't want to spend a lot of money, there's the FMS Rafale 64mm EDF jet. I flew that one. That's a blast. It's not that hard to fly. Now, in the world of RC trucks, the only truck I reviewed in 2022 that I still drive on a daily basis would be the Arma Fireteam. That truck is a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, my friends even love it so much they bought one. So there's 4 of us who drive these things around at my local field, and we have races and all sorts of competition. It's a great, great RC truck. If you can get one, they're usually on sale. If you can get one, pick one up. So in the year 2022, there's 2 radios that came out that I thought were top shelf. The first one is the Radiomaster Zorro. That thing is really cool. It's small. The only downside to it is if you use the internal batteries, they don't last all day. You will have to put an external battery on to power it. And of course, the brand new Radiomaster Boxer. That is a radio they're going to sell like billions of those things because it feels so nice in the hands. It's a full featured radio. It's really good. So those are 2 of the best radios of 2022. Now, when it comes to cameras, I review cameras on this channel. Usually I try to keep the cameras into the more affordable range. I'm not going to review super expensive cameras. The Insta360 1RS came out in 2022, and they've updated the technology inside for the brains of this camera. And with the new lens that's also available, it's a lot smarter, it's a lot faster, and it's really good. It's still a 360 camera if you wish to use it as a 360 camera, but you can use it just like a normal GoPro, and it takes really good images. But it has the benefit of having so many more features than a GoPro could possibly have. And in 2022, Insta360 came out with the X3. The X3 is a camera that has taken the world by storm. You can use this on vacation. You can use this when you vlog. I use it in a lot of my product reviews, and every time I use it, I always get comments from people asking, what was the camera you were using? Because it looked like you were just floating in the air, or it looked like the camera was floating in the air. It just looked so amazing. Well, that was the Insta360 X3. Now, in the year 2022, gas prices were going through the roof. More people were turning to electric cars, and I thought it's probably wise that I start reviewing items that use electrical power to get you from point A to point B. So I reviewed a scooter, the Turbo Ant X7 Pro, and it's pretty awesome. I reviewed an electric fat bike, the Himiway Cruiser, and let me tell you, so many people, if you look below that video, a lot of people bought that electric bike and they are extremely happy with it, so it's not just me. Then I reviewed a ton of skateboards, and out of all the skateboards I reviewed, there's one I kind of like the most because I use it the most. It only has one negative, and that is that it's very heavy. It's a heavy skateboard, and that skateboard is the Eovan GTS Carbon Super All-Terrain Skateboard. That thing is a beast. And now let me give a special mention to all the products I use behind the scenes to bring this video to you. Here we have the DJI Mavic 3 Cine. I do use this drone when I'm filming other products, like say I'm filming a helicopter or I'm filming something else and I need a drone to fly around or give me some shots from up above or whatever. I'll usually use the Mavic 3 because it's pretty reliable. If I'm reviewing an RC plane and I need to chase the RC plane, the drone that is my go-to drone for all my YouTube videos to chase RC planes and get the footage is the DJI FPV hybrid drone. When it comes to reviewing a product and I need a drone to chase me and avoid objects as it's chasing me, there's nothing better than the Skydio 2. When I'm doing a product review of pretty much anything and I want the scenery to look really cool and I want me to look really cool on film as well as the product, I sometimes will use the Evolve 2 because the camera on here is a professional camera with a removable lens, so I put the lens on that I desire for the shot I'm about to take. I can manually adjust all the settings, and it's not fake adjustments, it's true adjustments on the beautiful display that I have in my hands, the controller. This is a super awesome drone to use. The only negative is, well, it's kind of big, so it makes a bit of sound. So I can't have audio talking when this is flying around. So usually it's B-roll footage that I take with this, but it looks phenomenal. You've seen it in many videos, and yeah, it's all shot with this. But sometimes I use the Inspire 2. The Inspire 2 is really good for capturing footage that you want to use as B-roll. It's too noisy to use anywhere capturing anything when you're talking because it just drowns out the sound. It's not good for that. There is an Inspire 3 coming out in the year 2023. I have no plans to buy it. You know what? I might make a video in the future explaining why I'm not buying the Inspire 3, and it will all make sense to you just by showing you why I bought the Inspire 2 long ago. And of course, when I'm shooting footage here in the studio, I like to use the EOS C70. That's a Canon EOS C70 that's filming me right now. And when I'm shooting footage outdoors, I have a ton of cameras I use. So let's start with the most expensive to the least expensive. This camera here is the DJI Ronin 4. I picked it up when it first came on the market. I've been using it ever since, but I don't take it everywhere because it weighs a ton. The bonus to me is it uses the same battery as on my Inspire 2 and the same lenses from my Inspire 2. This camera is the Canon EOS R. You see it with me a lot of times when I'm out shooting in the field. It'll be in front of me. It's really awesome. For little cameras, I like the Canon EOS Mark II. I liked it so much I bought two of them and I take them with me on certain shoots. They're really good. I also have the Canon XC10. This is a camera I take with me whenever I shoot a product and I want the background to be brought into the foreground by using the zoom on here so I can zoom things in really nicely. And of course the action cameras. I love the DJI Action 2. I think this one's awesome. I love the fact that I can just pull off the top portion of this camera and stick it on things and put it back on the larger portion and then it recharges. Really good for that. The GoPros, I have every GoPro ever invented, so I've got a pile of those for filming. Insta360, they make a lot of small cameras. I love this one. This is the Go 2. You just pull the camera out and you go and double side tape it onto anything, a plane, a truck, a boat, whatever, and it films away and you get that footage that I throw into the videos that you see. For audio, it's pretty easy. I pretty much use the Tascam little DR10L for most of my audio. I have tons of audio for wireless and everything else, but I would say for an everyday out in the field type audio, I'm using the Tascam DR10L. This audio that's recording me right here goes into the camera or it goes into another digital device to process it. But for out in the field, yeah, this is a good one. So that's it. The year 2022 was awesome, and there were a lot of products reviewed, so I had to pick just a few that stuck in my little goldfish brain, and those are the ones I showed you here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just post them below. All of these products I showed you, I will try to link to the review that I did on each one, so you just look below this video, it'll go right to the review. And in that review, if you like the product, the link to the product is below that video. So you can check everything out there. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. Catch you in the next one. Bye.